Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Michaela Peters. I'm still here with Diesel today in his puppy sweater. We haven't gotten a chance to go running yet because it's still really cold, and I thought about going running, but then there was freezing rain, so I just took a shower anyway because usually I'm waiting until I take a shower. Okay, I'm waiting until I go running to take a shower because then I feel incentivized to take a shower. Just taking a shower because it's time doesn't usually feel as appealing, but maybe that's just me. This morning it was really traumatic because I woke up and Diesel moved and then he started screaming, and I never heard that kind of scream before, and it was really scary, and he did it for like 10 seconds, and my dad was putting wood in the fire, which is directly below my room. Excuse me. And then I was like, did you hear that scream? And then my dad's like, yeah, that's what Harley was doing, before he died, because he was having all these seizures. And now I'm like really worried that Diesel's going to die soon, when I really thought he was going to live longer because he goes running with me still. And not a great start to my day, I'm going to be honest. So if I seem kind of depressed in this video, sorry, it's because I am. Aside from all of the housing stuff, which everybody on the Russian side of my channel was like, you are overthinking this, you need to calm down, you're being so negative. And I'm like, well, the purpose of my channel is to educate people about life in the US, including the challenges, including the good things. And I regularly do talk about the fact that one of the things that keeps me in the US is that I like my job. Because it's pretty chill, they pay me. They still don't pay me enough for me to, live in the state of New Jersey. I have thought about trying to switch companies to get paid more, but I also like being remote. And I struggle working 9 to 5 in general, so don't know I can make that New York City commute. Would be rough. But yeah, so that's where I'm at today. All right, enough of the intro, which was somehow already 2 minutes. Okay, I'm going to talk about holidays, which I'm going to be honest is a really hard thing for me to talk about because I did not grow up celebrating holidays, and I still don't celebrate holidays. And a lot of people are like, oh, poor you. And I'm like, no, not poor me. One less thing I have to worry about in my life. I'm pretty happy about it. And I get a day off work and I get to chill. I don't have today off even though it's Christmas Eve. So that's going to bring me to my first point, which I find pretty interesting. So I haven't really spent Christmas time outside the US in since 2019. It's been some years. So I would usually just go home every year from Finland because it's naturally when I don't have classes and I don't need to be there to physically take exams. And I would always just kind of schedule my flight for 4 months and then another 4 months. The last year I was there actually for 9 months. That was pretty crazy. That was from I came back in January or something like that, and then I was there until September. Yeah, it's a while. Okay. So, I had to go to Migri. I already talked about this. And it's, the Finnish immigration services. And I was late for my appointment, and they almost charged me the late fee or the no-show fee. But then she said because it was Christmas coming up, she was going to give me a Christmas present and not charge me. And I was like, thank you, I appreciate it. Even though I don't celebrate Christmas, I didn't tell her that. I was just like, thanks. And I was like, yeah, I'm actually going home soon, and I'm never here for Christmas because, I told her I was going home soon because somebody's going to have to pick up my residence permit. Shout out to my roommate because that's who's doing it for me. But yeah, so, okay. Residence permit. Yes. So I was just like, yeah, I'm going home. I've never actually been in Finland for Christmas. True statement. That's correct. And I'm like, I don't know what it's like here. Is we have Christmas Eve and we have Christmas, what's it like here? She's like, oh yeah, and Boxing Day. And I was like, wait, what is Boxing Day? I actually still don't know. Is that the day after? Okay, this is embarrassing. Whatever, I didn't do the research for this. But she told me that Christmas Eve, the day before Christmas, is usually the day that is more celebrated in Finland. And I was like, okay, interesting. I didn't know that. So I learned something from that. And I was talking to another Finnish person, I'm like, do people do the Christmas tree thing? And then he was like, yeah. And then he had told me that some girl he had dated, her family manufactures Christmas trees to sell to people. And I was like, a very interesting profession. Okay, that's cool. So those are the things I learned about Christmas in Finland. I don't really know as much about the whole gift giving thing. It does seem like the commercial aspect of Secret Santa and gift giving has really stretched to all corners of the world. at least from what I've observed. And I also get into this really awkward, like, business as usual thing for me when it's Christmas, and then this can really offend some people. Like, why are you answering emails and working during this time? Like, I'm the only person in my office who's in, because, again, PTO days, man. Anyway, so, yeah, it's a weird thing. So when I was at NASA, I had, like, sick leave and stuff, and then it all just gets wrapped up into PTO in a corporate job, so, not great. Okay, so where was I going with that? Yeah, I tend to offend people by business as usual during the holidays. I actually had one teacher get really upset with me because I sent her an email on Thanksgiving. Was it Thanksgiving? Maybe it was like Easter. It was like some holiday. And I had off of work from NASA, so I was like doing stuff I needed to do. And it was like while I was I was taking a leave of absence from Rutgers, and I had emailed her and been like, oh, this is what I'm going to do for my classes, blah, blah, blah. And she like sent me this whole email about how rude it was for me to send her an email. I can't talk today on that particular holiday. And I just said, I'm sorry, I don't celebrate the holidays, so I often forget, but this is when I had a moment and a chance to send you an email, so, like, please respond to me when you get a chance for that. And I had seen some email signature that said, I'm writing this email at a time when it is convenient for me, please respond at a time when it is convenient for you. And that's really what I felt like saying to her, but I basically did. Okay. So yeah, people are very into, like, there's this sacredness around the holidays, and, like, people are literally obsessed with and talk about the holidays all the time, and, you know, thank goodness I don't celebrate holidays, but, like, it's this thing that people will fight over, like, whose family are we gonna go celebrate the holidays with, and I'm like, yikes, like, that sounds terrible too. I actually do spend time with my family around the holidays just because everybody has off of work. I think I did talk about that. Okay. Excuse me. Ugh. Okay, so that's everything I kind of know about Finland versus the US with holidays, or just talking about the US holidays. Oh yeah, I guess another thing, I didn't really see this as much in Finland, but, like, also there aren't as many homes, but, like, in the US, people like to decorate their homes with a bunch of, like, ornaments and flashy lights, and then, like, sometimes people put this nativity scene, you know, with the baby Jesus in the front yard, and, like, all the other Bible characters around. So if you're, like, you know, into being a Catholic or something like that. There's also this term called a creaster, which is, like, somebody who shows up to church on only Christmas and Easter, and this is, like, you know, not a good thing, but it is something that people do. I mean, hey, they're showing up, so maybe they should get some brownie points, but whatever, it's none of my business, because I'm not Catholic, or I don't go to a church, but whatever. So, yeah, there's that. In Finland, I just have not seen this as much, but there aren't a lot of houses around. However, the apartment building that I live in, the woman who is kind of, like, in charge of the whole apartment building, who's probably been there since it was built, I say that jokingly, but I kind of secretly think I'm right. She put out, like, a Christmas tree next to the elevator and some other, like, light up pictures, and then, like, I don't know, some, like, penguin with a Santa cap on the ground below the Christmas tree kind of thing. So I guess people still get pretty into it in Finland. So that's everything I know about Finland. And I guess people get together and have parties or something if they're, like, international people who don't have family there. Okay. I'm going to throw in a little interlude about, I would say, Russian. Yeah, let's start with Russian. And, well, Russian/CIS countries, Commonwealth of Independent States. In other words, former Soviet Union republics, now independent countries. Yes, those. Okay. So one thing that's super interesting is that, okay, so I just talked about Christmas, New Year's. Okay. And I don't know how this works in Finland. I've never been in Finland for New Year's either. In the US, regardless of whether you're, like, religious or, you know, because I feel like Christmas has a Christian theme to it. Although, ironically, I feel like the staunchest proponents of Christmas I've ever met were atheists, and I was so confused. And I tried to ask why, and they're just really into the gift-giving thing, and I'm like, well, why can't you just give people gifts when you feel like it? I mean, that's what I do. No, because they love all the Christmas stuff, and, okay. Oh, yeah, and then there's the whole, well, Christmas comes from pagan origin things, which is like, oh, well, so does everything. And I'm like, okay. And then I was actually at work listening to like a quarterly meeting. I talked about this in my really long video that got deleted, but I don't think I mentioned it yesterday, where it's like, Jesus wasn't really born during Christmas. In fact, he was born during this other time of year, according to Bible scholars, whatever. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, I knew that. Did nobody else know that? And then I guess the answer is, like, people don't really know that because people don't really care because it's a commercial holiday. So there's all this stuff you'll see, like, in the US, keep the Christ in Christmas. And I'm like, was the Christ in Christmas ever there? I'm gonna be honest. Okay, whatever. So maybe I'm being a little bit negative about Christmas, but I'm just saying this stuff confuses me, not gonna lie. Alright, so now New Year's. So I had some Russian people being like, because New Year's is like a really big deal for Russian people and, you know, post-Soviet republics and all those people. And I had like this kind of like Russian clique who was, I'm gonna say around my life, because two of my roommates were like in this big Russian clique, and then like I would see them and say hi to them and talk to them, whatever. And so they're like, saw them one time in like a tech lounge at LUT. Shout out if you actually know what that means, but basically like some place where you get coffee in the university where I usually study. And they're like, you know, what do you do for New Year's? And I'm like, you just turn on the TV and watch the ball drop. And they're like, that sounds inappropriate. Balls drop. I'm like, no, it's one ball, not two balls, but yes. Okay, and it's basically this gigantic, pretty sure it's like Philips LED lights that they drop in Times Square in New York City, and then you do a countdown from like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yep, and that's what happens. And it's funny because I've had a lot of people be like, oh, can we go do something because it's New Year's? And I'm like, no, because I work at the restaurant every New Year's because it's literally the only time. Which is like, literally, I'll fly back to the US just to work at the restaurant because that pays for my flight. And then I get to see my dogs and stuff. That one dog. Please don't die, Diesel. Literally, please don't die. I'm like, ugh. I'm afraid to go back to Finland, which I'm supposed to go back in like, I don't know, less than 2 months. Because I feel like it's going to be the last time I see Diesel. And it's like, oh gosh, I can't even think about it. It's literally stressing me out and making me sad. Okay. Enough of that. So yeah, like I've always thought about how it would be like really cool to go to New York City for this whole watching the ball drop thing, but then I'm like, apparently people will get like these adult diapers and stand in line for 10 hours just to maintain their spot to watch the ball drop, and I'm like, that sounds terrible. No thanks. I have been to New York City for the Thanksgiving Macy's City Day Parade once. I don't even know why we ended up there. It was when my dad was like a single dad, and we went to go meet my aunt and uncle, and then my aunt's brother and his partner, and they're both named Patrick, and I thought that was hilarious, and I still think about Patrick, and I think they still live in New York City. But anyway, yeah, I don't know, it's like, the fact that they're both named Patrick, it's like, how confusing. I guess it's like when you name your kid the same thing. Oh yeah, my grandfather, who, this is so irrelevant, like, didn't grow up with his father. Apparently, like, my grandfather's name is Larry, and then he has another sibling who he didn't grow up with who's also named Larry. And I'm like, why would you name the kid the same thing twice? Like, what? Okay, whatever. But yes, that's how it goes. Okay, so ball drop thing, cool. Now, obviously, not every country does this. I'm sure that's very surprising. Just kidding, it's not. Okay, so I actually was in Armenia during New Year's one year because this was the only time I was out of the US ever for New Year's, and it was 2019, and it was right before COVID, and it was when I was studying Russian in Kyrgyzstan, and I went to Armenia for 2 weeks to go see my old host family, and go see my friends there, you know, back when I used to be really good about keeping in touch with all my friends, before I had more real adult problems, like housing. Okay, yeah, I can't miss a chance to drop that in there. And, like, apparently, I think like all post-Soviet countries do this. I don't even know what they do in Finland, actually. So if you know, you can tell me. But the president or whoever, prime minister, whatever, you know, the figurehead of the country will come on TV and say a speech while it's becoming the new year. And I'm like, wow, that's so boring compared to the ball drop thing. No offense, but like, I actually like that about the US. One of the few things I like about the US. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's it. And then sometimes if I get off of work early on New Year's Eve, I will just like watch the ball drop by myself in the car because it's like, I just love it so much because it's like, wow, now it's the new year and the ball dropped. Cool. All right. So you have New Year's, and people are really into this in the post-Soviet countries, and they have the the yolka, like the New Year's tree. It's not really a Christmas tree, it's more of a New Year's tree. New Year's tree. I'm going to show a picture of it here because this is the one that I saw in Riga when I went there a couple weeks ago, and I'm just thinking about, like, I would have people from post-Soviet countries be like, what does it look like in the US when you have New Year's? And I'm thinking, like, the same. Like, what's it supposed to look like? I guess New York City does some stuff, and if you're in a city, it's kind of different. Like, they have, like, the ice skating, Rockefeller Center. They have, like, these little red bows everywhere. In fact, I was in Tampere in Finland on Saturday, right before I flew home, and, like, on the one main street, they have a bunch of lights that are, like, the little bows. Like, they're purple instead of red, but yeah. And then Christmas markets. Yeah, that's a big thing in Europe that we don't have in the US. In the Glühwein and stuff. No, we don't have that. That's, like, not a thing. It's interesting, but we just don't have that. That's, like, everywhere. I saw that in Belgium. I saw that in Finland. I've heard they have that in Germany. It's, like, you know, you just, like, walk around and get the Glühwein and stuff and whatever other random stuff you want to buy there. A little market, shopping place. Yeah. It felt way more authentic in Finland, not gonna lie, with all the snow. Yes, and we actually have snow today, which people are always like, white Christmas thing, which, like, yeah. I mean, it's not a lot of snow, but it's some snow. I was thinking about showing a picture of this, but then I got really paranoid because I was like, if I show a picture of my backyard, what if somebody can find me on Google Maps and come to my house and kill me? Okay, that's very dramatic, but that did go through my mind. So anyway, you can just know that in New Jersey, there's snow today, and it's really cool. Because usually it doesn't snow this early in the year. And I'm already missing Finland, so it's really nice to see some snow. Alright. I think that's everything. I'm gonna hope this video doesn't delete today, and if it does, then my morale is just gonna be shot. But that's kind of everything that I can think of in terms of comparing, you know, sort of like US holiday season versus Finnish holiday season versus what I know about, like, Russian/post-Soviet holiday season. Also, fun fact, like, Russian people and maybe in other countries, because not every Soviet republic is predominantly Christian. Like, let's think about Kyrgyzstan. They're not doing Christmas. But Christmas is, like, the Orthodox one, which would be on January 7th. And New Year's is, like, actually more important to them, from what I understand, even than Christmas. But yeah, we don't have any of this, like, fancy end-of-year stuff where I live exactly. But yeah. So anyway, I hope this video is not too long and it doesn't delete randomly. It always does that with the really long ones, so I hope I'm not getting too ranty here. But that's everything that I can talk about, that I can think about from my own experience, because it's how I know things from talking to random people. And I apologize to all the people. I'm really procrastinating with emailing because, I'm gonna be honest, when I come back to the US, I do get, like, a little bit depressed, and then it takes me a couple days. I'm not even really jet lagged at this point, to be very honest. It's more of just, like, I'm like, why am I here? What is the meaning of life? And then it's a holiday, so I unfortunately have time to think about existential problems. Great, that's what I'm doing instead of the things I actually should be doing. Okay. But anyway, that's everything I have for today, and tomorrow's Christmas, and I am seeing my family, and I don't know when, so we'll see if I upload a video or not. I'm not going to promise it, because maybe I want a day off. Alright, so until my next video, bye.